Hello and welcome to Capital Ideas TV. I'm Mark Bunting. We've been bringing you the Organic Garage story since July of 2017. It's an organic retailer growing by expansion with a goal of roughly doubling its revenue to more than $30 million through 2019. Run by fourth-generation grocer Matt Lurie, sales for Organic Garage rose nearly 28% in the latest quarter, and the company has turned its first cash flow positive quarter. Lurie and his team have opened store number 4 in Liberty Village in Toronto. We saw this building under construction late last year, and now that it's open, we go back for a visit. Matt, we were in this location when it was an empty shell, and now you're up and running. The store is looking great, very colorful. So remind us about this location in Liberty Village. What's unique about it, especially in terms of the demographics?
Well, what we liked about this location was specifically the population density. It has one of the largest residence association in North America. So population within 0.25 or even half a kilometer is one of the highest densities in Toronto. And going back to kind of our location kind of criteria, we really want to be in front of the most people as possible. So that was the first thing that really checkmarked the box. The other thing about this area is it has a large propensity of millennials, young families and things like that are usually apt to buy organics, especially when they have a child. So those sorts of things we really liked.
So if somebody is living in Liberty Village or comes from somewhere else, they walk into this store, this new store, how is it similar to your other stores? How is it a bit different?
Well, we list all the same products in all the same stores. So from that perspective, in terms of offer, they can feel confident no matter what Organic Garage they walk into, they'll find the products that they like to buy. The one thing about this location that we launched, that we talked about previously in one of our interviews was the Handpick Partner Program. So we launched 3 unique independently run kiosks for this location as a trial to see what the response was, and it was very well received. So in this location we have Thrive Energy Labs, which is a juice bar, Cali Rolls, which is a sustainable sushi offer, and to Kefir, which is a kind of a self-serve kefir concept.
Now, when we first started talking more than a year ago, we've seen you through, and our viewers and subscribers, they've seen Organic Garage open up the Junction location, open up this one. You talked about the rollout strategy, the expansion strategy. Last quarter sales up nearly 28%. So is your company hitting all the milestones you said you would, and you're right on track?
Oh yeah, we're very pleased. In terms of our development strategy and kind of our sales growth, I think they're both meeting our expectations and what we want to do. And our goal is just to continue. We have 2 stores slated for next year, and then we're filling out the pipeline. And our goal is once again to be opening 1 to 2 locations every year for the next 3 to 5 years, which will put us in a position to be one of the larger natural and organic independent grocers in all of Canada.
So LEASIDE in Toronto is the next location, location 5. When do you expect that to be open, and what can you tell us about location 6? I know you're in negotiations on that one.
Yeah, there's a good chance that actually potentially location 6 might actually happen before LEASIDE due to some construction delays there, but we're hopeful to start construction at some point next year, and then we'll be in a position we're wrapping up the lease for location 6, which we hope to announce within hopefully the next couple of months.
I noticed, Matt, lately the company has been making efforts to get more brand awareness. You've hired an investment relations firm. So what are the kinds of things you're doing to get the name out there, and why are you doing it now? Why do you think this is a good time?
I think when we looked at the strategy for the company, we went through the original listing on the CSE, and then we got uplisted to the TSXV, and I think the board and myself realized that we have so much good stuff in the pipeline, we really have to get the word out, and that starts by hiring an investment relations firm to really help broaden the appeal of the story and get our name, and get people talking about us. With this location opening and the kind of the buzz that's around it, building on what we did at Junction, combined with our 2 locations for next year, plus the other things that we're working on behind the scenes, there's a lot of good stuff in the pipeline, and we want an investor relations firm to help lend some horsepower behind that news.
When we first talked, Matt, last summer, Amazon had just bought Whole Foods for something like $14 billion. Now recently, you've got Sobeys buying Farm Boy for $800 million. So based on the metrics of that deal, what does that say about the valuation of your company and just in general in the sector?
Well, I think we discussed it previously that there's this appetite with some of the large national grocers to buy kind of boutique specialty grocery companies that fit within their stable of brands. I think the recent acquisition, which potentially could have been around a 2x multiple sales, helps put some clear identity behind what kind of the runway for growth that we have and where we want to head and what we could potentially realize once we get there. So it creates a more realistic, identifiable example of what sort of multiple and potential dollar cost that could be applied to Organic Garage.
Now, when we first talked to you and talked about your company, stock was trading high 30s. At one point, it got up to around 55 or so, back into the 30s now. What's your sense of how the stock is performing, how the market's treating your stock?
Well, as everybody knows, I mean, it's impossible to predict, the stock market. I think we saw some built up kind of interest in the company around year-end results, which peaked around that summertime when we announced, and also around first quarter. And I think the stock has kept at a relatively stable pace the last little while. And that's why I think, right now is the right time to have the IR firm building on the Liberty opening with the 2 new stores coming and kind of the sales growth we anticipate, that we want to create a nice stable base that we can build off. And I think we've settled into a comfortable zone that should be, hopefully kind of the bottom level, and hopefully we'll see some growth going forward in the next 12 months.
For investors who follow the Organic Garage story from the start, what do you say to them? What's the message that you give them?
Well, I think for people that got in from the start, I think they should be pleased that we've executed on our original goals, which was to open the Junction location, open the Liberty location, which we've done both of them, and we're seeing the positive results to our bottom line because of it, and that we're fulfilling our pipeline in terms of new store growth. So I think for existing shareholders, they should be pleased with what they've seen. I think for new shareholders, they should be excited about some of the things that we're working on and that we've already executed. And I think, it's an exciting time to be a shareholder for Organic Garage, and I think for people that are evaluating us, it's probably a good time to potentially get in, because I think we have so much good stuff in the pipeline, and I think the appetite is only increasing for organics, and given some of the acquisitions that have occurred, that's definitely a viability in the future that we're evaluating. So I think it all wraps up to be a great time to be a new shareholder or an existing shareholder.